that the Democrat Party's main constituency are made up of Hamas terrorists, illegal aliens, and violent criminals.
Wake Up Missouri with Stephanie Bell.
Enacting a spending agreement that actually makes life better for the American people.
The Zimmer News Team.
Can't drive a truck unless you can speak English.
And now introducing your host, Randy Tobler.
About Donald Trump shutdown, net approval rating, we're talking 20 days into it. In 2018/2019, Donald Trump's net approval rating was already falling. The shutdown was eating into his popular support. It was down 3 points already at this particular point and would fall considerably more. It was very much on the decline. You come over to this side of the screen, this shutdown hasn't eaten into Donald Trump's support at all. His net approval rating is actually up a point in terms of his popular support. So the bottom.
He's actually up a point this shutdown. Now, we embark on day 21 of the shutdown, and I've seen the watchers say with respect to the last three major shutdowns, it's always been kind of public opinion that has ended the shutdown when it's clear that the American people are fed up or when the approval ratings start tanking. But folks are actually saying, great. Keep the government shut down, apparently, Jen.
We shall see. This CNN pollster guy is now like my second favorite CNN person out of my two favorite total CNN people because he keeps breaking bad news to the left. But really, I thought that, it was kind of mixed where people are blaming the shutdown. Like it started off, Republicans are catching more heat for it. And now it's kind of evened out. But at some point, they're going to have to get something done on this because you have flight controllers missing their paychecks. Like all of these people, they're having to do like Uber Eats drivers and stuff like that to feed their families because they're not getting paid.
Yeah, I think
the whole thing that jumps into this, we keep seeing the major media 35 days during the first Trump administration. But they failed to mention the big shutdown that was almost like 3 weeks under Bill Clinton.
That's right.
And nobody talks about that.
Yes, that
I think a long time ago, maybe.
Well, and I think that's the one we just beat, or that we are tied for right now on day 21. But you're right, John. It's. I don't see an end in sight. Jen and I are headed to D.C. in November, and I'm thinking we're still going to be in the shutdown.
Yeah, it's funny because Andrew Bailey is like, well, if we're still shut down, he could join us for dinner the one night, but otherwise he'll be, on assignment elsewhere. And I'm like, I hope that we're not still shut down in November.
Well,
but that's looking possible.
It is. I believe Trump.
That'd be a silver lining, I guess.
I believe Trump is hosting the Republican congressional members today to just say, like, stay strong, stay unified. Let's keep on keeping on. So we'll continue to watch, but I don't think we see an end in sight.
Their demands are unreasonable. They wouldn't just keep the government open to negotiate the budget. They want to give health care to illegal aliens when we just had the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. They want to undo part of that.
Right.
And how they can justify all these federal workers not getting their paychecks. Some of them are actually earning their paychecks.
While the congressional members are getting their paychecks.
Yeah. And the DNC, they're drinking wine and beer and having a party on the roof of the DNC in D.C. Talk about tone deaf.
Very tone deaf. Well, yesterday there was a big day in Jefferson City. I'm Stephanie Bell sitting in for Randy Tobler today. He will be back tomorrow. I've got Jennifer Bukowski with me, who you hear on the Eagle on Sundays.
So I'm stepping in for you then.
And yes.
Just all bumping chairs around.
And you'll be on Gary Nolan later this morning as well?
Yep.
What time? 10:30?
10:30.
10:30. All right. We are going to be joined.
Man, I hope we're not paying Jen by the hour.
I know, right?
Yeah, I need to raise my
rates. We're going to go broke.
Well, we will be joined, like we always are on Tuesday mornings, by Chris Arps at 6:35. And then we are going to be talking to a former chief of staff for the EPA about energy. Obviously, energy is a hot topic. We talked to DNR director Kurt Schaefer here recently about rare earth minerals. And I know, John, you've got some more updates on that front coming up in
the international scene.
Yeah, in the Daily DC Rundown. We'll get to that. But first, we're going to recap yesterday's big day in Jefferson City. We had the ceremonial swearing in of Missouri Attorney General Catherine Hanaway. Jen, you had an opportunity to be there. Lots of people in attendance.
Yes, it was a wonderful event. Like, I teared up at different parts of it. I laughed. It was just really special to be there and watch the ceremonial swearing in of our first female Attorney General, who was the most qualified person I could think of to step in because she's got the civil experience, the criminal experience, the political experience. I think she could be and is already shaping up to be a fantastic Attorney General.
It was a big day, and there were a lot of big names there in the rotunda. The rotunda was full, a big audience, and one person we heard from the stage was her foe turned friend, Congresswoman Ann Wagner, who describes their first meeting like this.
My husband, Ray, and among many others, thought that we should get to know each other and arranged a luncheon meeting at some Chinese restaurant, some sort of play date of sorts. The food was good. The conversation was inquisitive, cautious, and a bit stilted. To sum it up, we did not like each other at all. Probably because we were too much alike. But deep, deep down, we both felt that we sort of needed each other, personally and professionally. If we had only known then what we came to know and share and live.
That was kind of a sweet recounting of their first meeting, and I can see that. Like, at the time there weren't a ton of women in politics at this original meeting, and two high-powered women in politics,
up and comers.
Yeah, I could see them being a little bit competitive, right? You've seen that before, Jen.
I felt that so hard because when you're a younger woman, sometimes you see other women, especially ambitious young women, as rivals more than as potential allies. But I'm so happy for those two that they were able to move past that and become, over like a 30-year period, more like sisters. Their families end up growing up together. They spend many, many times, she describes, like, Ann would be playing pickup basketball or smoking a cigar out back while Hannaway would be doing that while Ann is scribbling notes and they're plotting and scheming their next political moves. I'm like, what a special friendship that is between those two women. I thought it was super cool to hear about. I was glad she shared that.
You and I are never plotting our next
I thought
strategies.
of you. I'm like, that's my Stephanie Bell right there.
Yeah, she also had...
We need to play some pickup basketball. Who's going to smoke the cigar?
Not me. Drake says
You'll be doing
I'll smoke the cigar.
Okay. Jen and I will scribble our notes. She also had this to say.
Catherine Hannaway is described by many who know her as a Nebraska-born grassroots girl, a strategic thinker, a principled leader, always ethical, a brilliant, common-sense conservative with a strong Midwestern work ethic.
And she went on to say a couple more things. I don't think I can play exactly what she said on the air, but use some pretty intense language in how Catherine is a fighter.
You see a lot of similarities between the two.
Because, she's a Tookus kicker.
Yeah.
And that's what she said. She said it takes one to know one is what Congresswoman Wagner said.
They both were a lot alike, because I was thinking about that when Mike Keogh introduced her as his new attorney general and talked about her growing up on the farm and riding horses and all. And I remember Ann Wagner from day one talking about growing up as a kid working in the family carpet stores and all that. So a lot of similarities between the two.
And she's got a lot on her plate, right? I mean, she inherits a legacy of a lot of stuff that was started by Senator Schmidt and then Attorney General Andrew Bailey. But also, I mean, some new issues popping up, whether it's her new lawsuit on the map.
Yeah.
And of course, the Attorney General has been really involved in the abortion litigation. So, I mean, it's an interesting time to come in. And I think you're right, Jen, bringing in someone with the experience, not only on the civil side, but also the criminal side.
And the managerial experience. I mean, she was selected to run the prestigious Hush Blackwell law firm nationwide, 700 attorneys. So she's the perfect person to come in there and inspire leadership and care about not just, the special, like, we love our Solicitor General's office. They do all the splashy headline grabbing stuff, right? But the other people do important stuff too, like defending the state from different lawsuits. There's a lot of nuts and bolts to that office that I think she's going to really make sure is tip-top shape, and I think that is an effort well worth pursuing.
Yeah, and I know Congressman Wagner talked about, her Catherine Hanaway's commitment to vulnerable populations, and many people, they interact with the Attorney General through the consumer complaint process, and they receive thousands of complaints a year, and they have a whole staff of folks who help investigate those. And whether you're talking about elderly or others, when there is a group or a business perpetrating some sort of fraud on an individual, it's the Attorney General's office that you can go to try to get some help.
Yeah, and also, I mean, I don't think that we've been hearing great things about how well Missouri's been defended lately, have we? Like some of the verdicts or different outcomes that have been happening when it comes to defending the state from lawsuits. The plaintiff's bar has been doing better than usual, and isn't that true?
Yeah, I think that's
Can you
probably
speak
true.
to that?
Yeah,
Like,
it's been
I don't
tough.
know if that, I mean, I haven't been paying attention. That's just the scuttlebutt I hear.
Yeah, and so, I mean, I think we've got some work to do, right? And I think she's positioned to do the work that we need done.
Yeah, and she's brought that up. Like, there are a lot of different people working there, and she appreciates them all. And so I had the opportunity when I was on a transition team after her governor campaign didn't work. She worked on the Greitens transition, and the people that work for her just love her. They would like walk through a brick wall for her. She just inspires such loyalty. She's such a hard worker herself that I'm excited to see what she does in this office.
Great. Well, again, a big day in Jefferson City yesterday. If you go to AGC Hanaway on Twitter, you can actually go back and see that swearing in ceremony, the entire thing, if you would like to watch it and hear some more of the comments. But next, we have to get to the Daily DC Rundown with John Marsh.
It's Wake Up Missouri.
That's right. It's all ready to go.
Just getting started.
And we're doing a real job on rare earth and many other things.
That is Trump with the Australian Prime Minister yesterday. You could hear the scratching of the Sharpie as he signed the deal. And that gets us into the daily DC rundown with John Marsh.
Yep, President Trump and Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese on Monday signing the agreement on rare earth and critical minerals. The two allies look to stabilize global supplies amid China's efforts to clamp down on their control over the market. As we heard from Missouri DNR Director Kurt Schaefer, Albanese said it's an $8.5 billion pipeline that we have all set to go. U.S. Senate on Monday failed for the 11th time to advance the House-passed measure to fund the government and end the shutdown. Bill's fallen short of the 60 votes needed to advance in every vote since it began 21 days ago. The majority leader, John Thune, expected to bring up a bill this week that would pay federal employees in the military who've continued to work through the funding shutdown. And an interesting story, a significant win for student loan borrowers. Trump administration agrees to a court-supervised plan that will speed up debt cancellation under income-driven repayment programs and protect borrowers from unexpected tax bills next year. The administration actually worked with the American Federation of Teachers on that one.
Drake
Drake
is cheering, but kind of silently. It's always the producer who wants their student debt loans canceled. I'm crabby about it.
That's right. You paid yours.
I did pay mine. I mean, I think it's wrong. I think if you sign the paper, you get the education. Drake's calling me a whiner. Then I think you need to pay for it. Now, Alan has texted us. You can text us your thoughts at 573-874-9390. And he said, hey, what about that Caroline Leavitt text yesterday, that comment yesterday? And I hadn't seen it, Alan.
I hadn't either.
But I'm glad you pointed it out. So apparently a reporter, I think from the HuffPost, the Washington Post, a reporter, I'll check myself here in a minute. HuffPost. Was texting her about the significance of Budapest and said, is the president aware of the significance of Budapest? And she goes on, and then she said, who suggested Budapest? And Caroline Leavitt texts back, your mom did.
Allegedly.
I think Alan thinks that is inappropriate.
Is this funny to you?
Yeah. And then the reporter texts back to Caroline Leavitt, is this funny to you? And she says, it's funny to me that you'd actually consider yourself a journalist. You're a far left hack who nobody takes seriously, blah, 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 blah. That seems pretty on point with what we've heard Caroline Leavitt say publicly, right? That's her, right?
Yeah. Stop texting me your disingenuous, biased, and BS questions.
Alan,
she's pretty fed up with whoever that reporter is. Interesting.
Alan says, I just can't imagine what Republicans would be saying if a Democrat press secretary said something like that. Are we mad about your mom jokes?
You know, in a text message, it's one thing if you're doing it from the podium with the presidential seal, but if there's some reporter that somehow has your number and is constantly pestering you and you've given them hints, basically she's telling them, stop texting me.
I think injecting a little bit of humor is exactly what we need. I'm sorry. I'm not offended by your mom joke.
Yeah, I would be if she said it from the podium. If she's like, yes. And then she's like, your mama. That's not okay. They're like, oh, is Trump going to reopen the government? No, your mom is. No, that's not okay. But
hey, Corinne Jean-Pierre. Oh, she never had any over-the-top backhanded comments for the press.
Yeah. Right.
But she's not doing this from the podium. She's doing this in a text exchange, and I think kind of telling someone that's being disingenuous, as Caroline Leavitt is saying in response. They're like, is this funny to you? Because in 1994, this and that. Okay, Budapest is a neutral thing. They were having other talks in that country, weren't they?
I mean, it's play stupid games, win stupid prizes, ask stupid questions. You're going to get a silly response back, right?
Yeah. It was Istanbul that they were going to go to the other day, but yeah.
I'm not offended by an occasional your mom joke via text. All right, Alan.
Shouldn't be
Text
the
us-
norm.
Yeah, text us your next question. 573-874-9390. Up next, we'll be talking to Chris Arps. Bell sitting in for Randy Tobler, who will return tomorrow, along with guest co-host Jennifer Bukowski, who you hear on the Eagle on Sundays, and you will hear later this morning on Gary Nolan at 10:30, so stay tuned. But now we're joined by Chris Arps. Now, Chris, at the top of the headlines this morning is the big Amazon outage that happened yesterday. Were you affected by the outage?
I was not affected by the outage, but I did hear about it. I hope this doesn't lose any of the audience, but I get a New York Times newsletter every morning, and that's how I first learned that there was an outage, because the newsletter didn't come out till the afternoon, even though it was a morning newsletter. And that was the one thing that they talked about was the Amazon outage. I don't know that much about it. Was it a hack or just a malfunction?
It was a DNS problem. I think they pushed an update to a database, and it affected other programs that were supported by AWS. But yes, I wasn't affected either. And Jen was doing a lot of driving. She said she didn't notice as well. But
I did see Elon tweeting, bragging like people keep checking X to see if the internet's back up. So I was wondering what was going on.
The only glitch I heard on it, guys, was I got an alert from Venmo.
Yeah, they were down for a bit.
Your Venmo account may not be accessible.
All right, Chris. Well, you are headed to mid-Missouri today, right, for the chili supper?
I am. I'm excited about that, yeah.
Oh, MC. I hope you do a good introduction of yours truly.
The agenda was sent to me, so it's all written out. All I have to do is read it and not flub it up. So.
All right.
Well, if you have not met our friend Chris Arps in person, you'll have the opportunity tonight in mid-Missouri at the Boone County Republican Chili Supper. So make sure you say hi. Now, Chris, people are really fired up this morning, not really about the shutdown, but about two things. We've already gotten a text from listener Alan. He said he's pretty mad about Caroline Leavitt texting a reporter a your mom joke. And then also I saw people were real fired up yesterday about the White House East Wing demolition starting. Are you mad? Did you wake up angry this morning about your mom jokes and construction?
No, I usually don't try to wake up angry, because it just sets the tone for your whole day, and then you're angry. Look, Caroline Leavitt works for Donald Trump, who is the greatest presidential troll ever. So I think she's just following the path that's already been set. I think the Democrats need to lighten up a little bit here. I think part of their anger is they're not really getting a lot of traction with this government shutdown. The latest polls are showing that the American people blame everybody for the shutdown, the president, the Republicans, and the Democrats. So they're not getting a lot of traction on that. And the word that I'm hearing is that November 1st, that's when the deadline for Obamacare enrollment starts. That may be the Democrats' off-ramp that they use to end this government shutdown by saying, we didn't get anything done before the shutdown. They'll claim a moral victory, open the government, and then try to hammer Republicans over health care from now until doomsday.
Well, I'm glad that you're hearing that there's some sort of exit strategy, because it seems up till now it's been such a stalemate, and also centered around Chuck Schumer being worried about a primary threat from AOC, and folks like him just feeling like anyone that caves is just going to get hammered.
Exactly. And, I had a statistic that I read on the show yesterday that it's something like, I think it's $250 billion worth of projects are being eliminated in blue cities and blue districts, but only about $758 million worth of projects are affecting red states. So this is hurting Democratic constituents. It's hurting their states more than anything. And I think along with that November 1st deadline, and also with their constituents being hurt, especially construction workers not working on these projects, I think that's also going to be one of their impetus for them to end the shutdown.
The other thing I'm kind of watching, too, is we have elections in the early part of November in various states. And I think the tides and the polls have been showing, maybe because of candidate quality, but certainly it's been showing Republicans doing better than I think folks have expected. Do you think perhaps, if we take a beating in that first week in November, you think that changes the calculus on the shutdown?
I think it would, but I think we're going to do well. In Virginia, we've got kind of historical precedent set that Democrats usually win 2 terms in New Jersey, but they've never won a third. So I think that bodes well for the Republican candidate there. The Republican candidate is tied or is losing by 3 or 4 points, which is within the margin of error. So I think, and if you also look at Ciccarelli, I think that's his name, he lost to Phil Murphy, the current governor, by only 3 points 4 years ago. So that race is shaping up for a possible win for the Republicans. And then if you look at Virginia, people had written off Winsome Sears, to be honest with you, that there's no way that she was going to win. That race, according to a Fox poll, is a 4-point margin, which is, of course, within the margin of error. So Republicans could win both those governorships, and I think that would be a huge lift for Republicans, for Donald Trump, and I think it would even further demoralize the Democrats. We've seen polls show that their voters are very disappointed in them. I had a story yesterday on the radio show about how the younger Democratic voters are leaving the Democratic Party. They're not enthusiastic about them at all, and that bodes well doesn't bode well for them right before a midterm election.
Chris, both Jen and Stephanie were in attendance yesterday as our new Attorney General of the state of Missouri. Catherine Hanaway was sworn in, and she made no bones about it. You talk about politics and races down the road. On her initial introduction by Governor Keogh, she said she had every intent to run for the office down the road for a full term.
I thought you were going to say they both were at the No Kings rally over the weekend.
That too.
We were in those inflatable dinosaur outfits. If you didn't see us there, that's what we were wearing. Yeah,
I thought I kind of thought
I was a purple dinosaur, and Stephanie, you were the rainbow dinosaur.
I was the rainbow. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We had the Attorney General on when she was first appointed to the job, and she said on our show that she had planned on running for the office full time, which kind of surprised both Tim and I. But why not? I mean, she is a young person. She's a few years older than me, so I'll say that she's young. She has a very good resume. She's been a U.S. attorney. She's been the Speaker of the House. I think she's more than capable of doing this job. So if you got the job, I'd be the same way. Take it from me.
And, the continuity would be good for that office because, a joke was made about how she's only the 47th Attorney General, and we're on our 57th governor. And they were looking at why there was such the difference. And part of it was like Jay Nixon stuck around so long.
Term limits.
But then there was a thank you to Andrew Bailey, Josh Hawley, and Eric Schmidt for helping them boost the AG numbers right there by each of them not staying too many years in a row.
And let's remember, too, a few years ago, Catherine Hanaway did run for governor of the state of Missouri. And as you guys kind of noted, the Attorney General's job has kind of been a stepping stone to the governor's mansion. So, she puts in another term under Governor Keogh. If she does well, which I assume that she probably will, she could be a strong contender for governor in 4 years.
And speaking of
5 years.
Of former Attorney General Andrew Bailey, Trump was putting out some stuff on Truth Social about how great the FBI is doing and all of this. And I think
name-checked Andrew.
Right. What do you think about that? You think he'll return to Missouri politics, or you think he's going to stay in D.C. for a bit?
I think you hear it here first. I think Andrew Bailey will be announced as the new FBI director at the end of this year. When he was first appointed as the deputy co-director, I think I got the titles right, it was leaked that you had to be on the job, I think, for 90 days or something before he could be elevated. So that fits in perfect with the timing of at the end of the year, him being named the FBI director. When you read the Politico and you read Axios, those publications, they say that the current FBI director is not very popular with his boss and with other people within the White House. So I could see an announcement from Kash Patel saying, I came in to clean up the FBI. I've done my job. Now I'm going to spend more time with my family. And Andrew Bailey be elevated to the FBI director. So you heard this first. I'm predicting Andrew Bailey will be the FBI director.
I was hearing scuttlebutt about Dan Bongino maybe leaving. He had that big thing where he threatened to quit and stormed off. Do you remember that? And so I was wondering if he's just Andrew Bailey's there for a backup for Bongino or Patel or even Bondi. Yeah. But
I think Bongino's
I
gonna
don't
take
think
another job with
co-deputy
this
director is the long-term plan.
No, and you don't leave the Attorney General of Missouri to become co-deputy director. So I think kind of the handwriting on the wall is there for Andrew Bailey to be elevated. I think he's going to be the FBI director either in January or at the end of the year.
Interesting.
Now, we like to talk about all the good things Trump's doing, and certainly I think he's been doing a lot. And when we look at, the peace president, I think you can't question his record there. But then when we come back home, I mean, a lot of folks say that's great that he's solving these things on the international stage, but what about me at home? And here in Missouri, we've got soybean farmers, I know, who, their markets changed a lot. Trump apparently over the weekend is saying we're going to buy beef from Argentina because our beef prices are too high. And, we've got a lot of cattle farmers out there who are saying, wait a minute, like we're finally doing well and now you're going to disrupt this. Do you think that's a misstep on Trump to get sideways with our ag industry? Because I think, for folks in Missouri, I think that's going to matter.
I think Trump, one of his main economic tools is tariffs. He uses that on everything. And I think with these tariffs that he can expand the markets for Missouri agriculture, for agricultural in general. I think he has told the farmers that, look, there's going to be some pain in the short term, but this is going to be better for you overall. And I think that's also why he's been advocating using tariff money and other money to subsidize these farmers who are not making a lot of money right now because of these tariffs. I think politically, I think the farmers are with President Trump, but I think they're getting a little unhappy by seeing their markets being shrunk by these tariffs.
All right. Well, thanks so much for joining us this morning, Chris. We look forward to seeing you.
Yeah, safe trip here to Columbia tonight. I'll see you there, my friend.
And we'll send you the bullet points to beef up Jen's bio. All right.
I appreciate that. I'll look for that.
She's going to leave her dinosaur costume at home.
Maybe. No promises.
All right.
Have a great week.
You too. Coming up next, we're going to make Missouri healthy again, and we're going to be talking about peanut butter back in elementary schools.
What?
I can't wait.
It's Wake
I'm Stephanie Bell, joined by Jennifer Bukowski, Drake Whitman, and John Marsh this morning. And it might be a bridge too far to say that we're bringing peanut butter back to elementary schools, but we are moving in that direction because yesterday a new study published in the Journal of Pediatrics found that 60,000 kids were spared from developing a peanut allergy. Now, if you recall, there for a while, I think maybe, Jen, when you and I had young kiddos, they're like, don't give your kids any peanut butter until they're like 5.
And didn't they say don't eat it while you're pregnant for a while there?
And there are so many rules. I didn't follow a lot of them.
Yeah,
But
luckily I didn't either because I think that contributed to kids developing this peanut allergy.
that's what this new report is saying. So they said in 2015, they issued new guidance telling parents to introduce peanut butter to babies as young as 4 months. That was originally just for high-risk children. And so they said peanut allergies in children aged 0 to 3 fell by 27% after parents of high-risk children started introducing peanut butter earlier. And then following that recommendation in 2015, 2 years later in 2017, they made the recommendation for all kiddos and said, go ahead and start giving your kids peanut butter really early on. And when they did that, the allergies dropped by more than 40%.
Wow.
And so now, there for a long time, peanut butter was the number one allergy for young kiddos. And they said now it's eggs is the number one allergy for kids.
So that's interesting. I wonder why eggs is the allergy, but that's so good because peanut butter is so delicious. And so it'd be good for kiddos to be able to enjoy that at schools. But while so many kids have a severe allergy to it, it does make sense to not allow peanut butter up at schools because if a kid could go into anaphylaxis from it, yes, we need to be more careful about it. But I look forward to the day when Reese's peanut butter cups can be part of Halloween festivities up at the elementary schools.
And the kids say apparently there's some alternative that they offer at lunchtime. I think they called it, is it sun butter or something?
Yeah.
It's
all those
sunflower
peanut butter.
seeds, yeah.
Oh, the kids
Every
say it's
peanut butter
disgusting.
activity alternative, they're like, oh, it's so good. No, it's not good. Peanut butter is the best.
Even like the almond butter, you get
Yeah,
those
that's
natural
supposed to be-
ones.
Oh, it's so much better. It costs more. No,
It-
it's not. For
it's-
once, the more expensive thing actually doesn't taste any better.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's super expensive and it separates. So then you have to like try to mix it up, and then
Yeah.
it's like hard to
It's
spread.
all oily. And, yeah.
I'm here for the peanut butter. I don't think my kids would have ever gotten a peanut butter allergy, and I mean people are gonna think I'm like the worst mom ever after telling everyone that my daughter ate half a bottle of vitamins one morning, which she did. And at another point in their young sisterly career, I found the middle daughter, who I bet was like 5 at the time, and she had a Sam-sized jar of peanut butter and was feeding it to her little sister just with a spoon. And I mean, I think the two of them downed half a jar of peanut butter. So I don't think I have to worry about peanut butter allergies with them.
That's a quick meal. If like you're on the run, now they got a squeezable version. You can just squeeze that out
I
into
know.
your spoon and keep the peanut butter, clean.
Well, and I've said I travel with, it's actually almond butter. And this is a good version of almond butter, but they're in little packets. And yeah, I don't eat it on anything. I just eat it straight. And it's like a good fat, good protein.
Mm-hmm.
Randy would probably say, you got to eat it in moderation, right?
Oh, he's a
Too
big
many
fan of the
calories.
organic peanut butter. He's talked about that before.
Well, I am excited for this because, again, it is frustrating because it's cheap, it's easy, and like you said, Jen, it's relatively healthy. It's got some protein, depending
and
on which.
yummy.
Well, that too. It is delicious, but it's been
And it's
frustrating.
easy. Like it's something you can make the night before in a sandwich to be ready. Because I'm not a morning person.
What?
Like I like to. So I need to get my outfit out. I need to get the lunch packed. I need to get everything done that I can possibly do in advance, so that I have a possibility of getting out the door on time, which is still a struggle sometimes.
And I
for me.
remember once we were packing lunches for like a summer camp, and of course the kids are like, I want peanut butter and jelly. We send that. We get a notice from the camp, you cannot have peanut butter. I had to leave work, get a new lunch, take it to the camp because they were like, no peanut butter. And I was like, oh my gosh. So hopefully maybe we can relax some of these restrictions a little bit. All right, new report out. You're going to want to take a look at that from the Journal of Pediatrics. We're making peanut butter great again, I think. All right, up next, there's been some big court decisions. While I've got Jen in the house, we're going to get to that next.
From the Zimmer Radio Network headquarters, it's your morning addiction.
That the Democrat Party's main constituency are made up of Hamas terrorists, illegal aliens, and violent criminals.
Wake Up Missouri with Stephanie Bell.
Enacting a spending agreement that actually makes life better for the American people.
The Zimmer News Team.
Can't drive a truck unless you can speak English.
And now introducing your host, Randy Tobler.
In the audience, reflections on yesterday?
Yeah, he was pointing out how, she's just the latest of many people that were making a lot more money and maybe didn't really expect to be tapped by him to come and serve, but agreed to do so in the interest of our state, and his appreciation for her being willing to do that. And I'll tell you what, she probably took like a 90% pay cut to do that job. It does not pay very well, and she was probably doing very well as a successful partner at a major law firm.
Yeah, what's the AG spot pay? Like 150?
120 or
120?
something.
Really? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
120, 121, something like that.
You don't go into government to hit it big.
Yeah, but for a successful lawyer, like having to support a family or something, it's tough to do on 120.
That's for sure. But at the same time,
you're passing on some big money.
Right. And so a lot of times you see folks do it when they're young or as they're nearing like retirement age, the end of their career. And a lot of folks want to give back. And so she was officially ceremonially sworn in yesterday, although she's been doing the job for some time, since about September 8th, I think was her official first day. Something like that. So, but nice to see a lot of prestigious folks there on stage in the rotunda.
Yeah. Federal judges, state court judges, former AG Koster was there. All kinds of people I hadn't seen in a while were there.
So, and it's often talked about the Attorney General's office as the state's largest law firm, right? And granted, she was head of a major national law firm, but there are a lot of attorneys in there. And so, Jen, earlier you pointed to her managerial experience over that large law firm because there's, she's got a lot of people on her staff.
400 people to manage now. So that's good.
And certainly we've talked about how the AG role can certainly be a stepping stone into future career possibilities.
Yeah, but she's committed to running again as AG, so that'd be 7 years down the line. Because Keogh's certainly going to run again too, right?
Yeah, I would think so. And but again, we've heard from a lot of folks that they're committed to running again. Sometimes
not naming any names,
opportunities pop up, and you just can't pass those up. Well, Jen,
there's not going to be a Senate spot opening.
I don't think.
I don't know about the FBI though. Maybe they'll come and take our AG again, DC.
I mean, we are punching above our weight in DC, and it's hard, Jen, when we go to DC to get everyone in Missouri that's up there now on our list. We're like, oh, we need to check in with this person and this person and this person. And I'm like, wow. The list of Missourians in DC right now is crazy.
I can't wait for our trip there next month.
Yes, we will be headed there. We got some big news yesterday out of the courts. We are hearing that Trump can send the National Guard to Portland. That was an appeals court ruling yesterday. Of course, there was a lower court ruling barring the president from deploying the troops to Portland, Oregon. But the appeals court essentially said that they didn't provide that the lower court didn't provide enough deference to the fact finding and the president's authority there. So,
good.
So maybe some movement there. A lot of folks I know on the libertarian front, Jen, you have a libertarian bent, think, maybe this is not a direction that we should be heading, and that, if Trump has this authority, then every president going forward has this authority.
Right.
And so would like to see some of that reined in. But I think a lot of people draw the line at, okay, are we sending troops in to protect federal facilities? I think people agree Trump has that authority, but, does he have the authority to do it more broadly?
Yes, and especially when the governor of that place is not on board, it becomes a little more troubling. But Trump just seems to care about people's lives, even if they're in a blue city. If their crime is out of control, people are dying, he feels a duty as president to try to do something about it. So his intentions are good. Whether or not it pans out, we can't really foresee whether or not we'll regret this going forward once the Democrats have the White House back, and who knows what they might do with this kind of power.
That's right.
But I would like to see our cities get more cleaned up.
I agree. Other court news yesterday, a big Second Amendment rights case is going to make its way to the Supreme Court. They announced they are going to hear a case whether people who regularly smoke pot can legally own guns. And I think this puts the administration in kind of a weird spot for me. When I was reading up on this yesterday, Jen, I'm like, wait, who's on what side? How is this going down? So I know.
Yeah, like when you buy a gun, you have to check a box that you're not doing any drugs.
Like Hunter Biden did.
Yeah. But Hunter Biden was doing crack. When it comes to marijuana, that's legal in half the states now, but it's not legal federally yet.
And of course, last year, a jury convicted Hunter Biden of violating this law, among other charges, because he lied on the form, right? And there was evidence that he was doing drugs when he bought the firearm. But this case, it's in a weird posture, though, because it's the government attorneys that are arguing that folks who regularly smoke weed should be prohibited from owning firearms. That's weird, right?
I agree. I think that, if it's a fundamental right and marijuana is legal in half the states, doing criminal law as long as I did, you don't have a client that smoked a whole bunch of marijuana and went home and beat his wife. Like, it's alcohol that can lead to that kind of stuff, and there's no law preventing people who drink alcohol from owning firearms. So why would there be a law that says people who smoke pot can't have firearms?
Well, they've kind of tried to address that in some places with the red flag laws that have met with a lot of roadblocks every time they've brought that up. But yeah, the whole marijuana thing, like you said, with half of the states making it legal, it's hard to make the argument that people can't legally possess guns if they're smoking legal marijuana.
Well, and so the SCOTUS blog article quotes John Sauer, a Missourian, as we were just talking about all of the Missourians in D.C., saying that the federal law at the center of the case is one of the narrow circumstances in which the government may justifiably burden that right, Second Amendment rights. And so, but that's not a position that you would think that most conservatives are on board with, right?
Unless they're talking about, I need to look more into this because this was not on my radar, unless they're saying like, while they're super high, because you can't also be wielding a firearm while you're drunk under the law.
Right. I think if you have your concealed carry and you get in your...
It doesn't matter if like you're exhibiting a fire, if you're holding a gun and you're wasted on alcohol, that's illegal.
Right. And so this case and the dispute began after FBI agents searched the home of a man named Hermani. They found a Glock 9 millimeter pistol, 60 grams of marijuana, and 4.7 grams of cocaine. And the prosecutors charged him with violating the same law that Hunter Biden was convicted of violating, I think.
Well, the cocaine makes it different, doesn't it?
Well...
Why are they so focused on the marijuana if the guy got busted with coke?
Yeah.
Good question.
What was the jurisdiction?
Texas, right?
I'm not sure. We'll get back to you on that one, John.
Okay.
But I do think, I mean, you're right, Jen. Like, where do you draw the line? We've seen the numbers in Missouri, John, of how much revenue is coming in from the legalized marijuana. It's a lot, right? So a lot of folks, so when you're thinking about, burdening people's fundamental rights, I mean, if they say, if you regularly do pot, you can't have a gun, how many people does that knock out? I think quite a lot.
Yeah, based on how much revenue we're getting from marijuana sales, I would say it's quite a few in Missouri. It's pretty incredible.
And yeah.
Like, is everyone doing marijuana in Missouri except me?
Well, and I think you kind of get, you kind of said this with the alcohol argument, but like, is the government kind of conceding that there are circumstances in which you should lose your fundamental rights. And I hate this word, but like, is it a slippery slope, right? If we open the door for saying, okay, you have this fundamental right, except for if you choose to do marijuana, where do you then draw the line? And where do the liberals next say, oh, you can't, this group of people loses their fundamental right to own a gun, right?
Right.
And who's making that decision?
There's a lot of these cases that are potentially, I think they're before Court of Appeals, and even the Supreme Court is being petitioned maybe to look at some of the gun laws regarding short-barreled rifles and silencers, suppressors, and all that. So I guess this is not that out of the area of where they're looking at the Second Amendment challenges, I guess you got to call them.
And John, you were right earlier. The case does stem from Texas.
Wait, but there's this case, okay, it's citing, I'm a little confused because this AP article about this that you posted, it links to a federal appeals court ruling that drug users shouldn't automatically be banned from having guns. The opinion overturns the conviction of a Mississippi man, Patrick D. Daniels of Gulfport, who had 2 guns found in his car during a traffic stop last year and acknowledged using marijuana regularly, but wasn't accused of driving under the influence. So he just admitted being a regular marijuana user, and he also happened to have guns in his car. I'm totally fine with overturning that.
Right. Like what you were saying,
he's not high on marijuana. He just possesses guns, and he happens to use marijuana. How is that any different if it's legal to have marijuana? I think that gun rights are a fundamental right, and in those circumstances, that shouldn't be illegal.
Well, either way, it's shaping up to be a pretty big Supreme Court term. We've got a lot. We just had that redistricting case argued last week. We've got this case now on the docket.
And you've got the Colorado law with counseling children, where they make it illegal to try to talk children into being okay with their own biological sex.
A lot of big cases on the docket. Of course, we are going to have to wait some time for those opinions. We'll be following them as they work their way through arguments and briefing and ultimately a decision. So coming up next, we are going to get into, there's some big Mizzou news. John, let's talk that through. Drake's excited to talk football next. All right, that's up next on Wake Up Missouri.
It's Wake Up
atmosphere, as you would expect, living up to the hype. It is electric here.
A pretty exciting announcement over the weekend that College Game Day is coming to Nashville for the Mizzou game. I think, kickoff's 2:30 on Saturday?
That's it.
And
Sounds
it's
right.
sold out.
It is sold out. Oh, yeah. I was monitoring yesterday. People were complaining about the ticket prices. They said, I think, so the official tickets are sold out. Apparently, you can get on third-party sites, and they said they're in like the hundreds, like $250 is the cheapest ticket you can get right now.
It's going to be exciting. It's big game.
Going to be a good one. This weekend, it was a struggle until the very end. So hopefully we show up ready to play. John's like, yep, but we won. A win's a win. Is that your take, John?
W in the W column, that's for sure.
I like it. Well, Jen found this fun KJP audio.
Yeah, she has a book out. Independent. She's supposedly independent now. She'll never vote for a Republican.
She's got to find a way to make some money, right? Who's buying this book?
That's presuming
who's
any
hiring
of her
her?
constituents can read, right?
All right. Yeah. But the lies that she said from the podium continue on these interviews.
She's a truth teller. Listen to this. Totally a truth teller.
We did have legislative wins.
Sure,
and
but he didn't talk about him that well, though. He couldn't talk about them. He wasn't campaigning.
No. Wait. First of all, he did talk about them. Whether it broke through or not, he did. Tim, he did talk about.
I mean, he talked way less to the press than Donald Trump does. Way less. And he wasn't out there at all. He wasn't good off the cuff. He wasn't doing press conferences. Let's just be real. Like, he didn't do night events.
Tim, that's not true. Tim.
Okay, so here's the claim.
Saying it. She says it over and over.
Here's the claim. Biden talked way less to the press than Donald Trump does. And she just said, that's not true.
Yeah, and
not
if you keep playing it, she says it again.
You're conflating all of it. That's what you're doing. No, you're telling me he didn't talk well about it. Then you're telling me he didn't talk at all.
He didn't do either. He didn't talk very often, and when he did, it wasn't very good. He sounded very old.
Maybe you weren't paying attention to what we were doing at the White House. But
I paid attention. I'm with you on the policies. I'm talking about his performance.
The president spoke to the American people a couple times a week. He traveled and did domestic travel and talked directly to the American.
I mean, that's some type of derangement syndrome. Does she have Biden derangement syndrome? She's like, you weren't paying attention. It's like, were you paying attention?
Yeah. He spoke, like, she won't admit that Donald Trump speaks to the press more often than Joe Biden did. Why? Because he spoke a couple times a week. Donald Trump speaks for like 10 hours a day in front of the press and everyone in the world.
And every chance he can get, whether he's on the airplane, whether he's on international travel, whether he's just hanging outside.
He'll take any questions.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And the fact that she can legitimately try to say that, again, the claim is Biden talked way less to the press than Donald Trump does. That's not true.
That's just not true, Tim. That's just not true. If you're just not paying, maybe he didn't break through. Because
he had a bad press secretary?
Apparently the knives are coming out for her.
I think it would have been...
even among her own, like how bad she actually was.
Well, and I think it might have been effective if she just used the Caroline Leavitt model. And when he said that, she just should have said, your mom. And then that would have been better than claiming that, Biden apparently talked more to the press than Trump does. I mean, I think that American people are getting fed up with, we don't have to listen to what you say. When what you say is, we saw it with our own eyes. We see it with our own eyes.
Yeah,
We
don't
see
believe
Trump.
your lying eyes, though, Stephanie. Like, Biden spoke all the time to the press. What?
He was asleep for half of the presidency, I'm pretty sure.
He called a lid on things like...
At 4 p.m. or 2 p.m.
Earlier, yeah, and he didn't start until late. It's a completely different dynamic with Trump, and the fact that she can't even admit that.
Do you think Democrats...
her TDS is incurable.
Yeah, well, and do you think Democrats, are angry with... I mean, you said there's kind of... People are starting to kind of close in on her, but, they see this and they're like, you're not helping us. Would you please
Yeah, because
shut
she
your
helped
mouth?
cover up how bad Biden was.
Exactly.
And that's what led to them losing.
We've already got Kamala not helping us.
I know. I think there's a lot of backroom talk of please just go away. It's bad. All right, Jen, coming up, let's do, what were we going to do next? We've been through so much stuff
We've had
yet.
a bunch of different topics.
All right, let's talk critical minerals and the Australia deal, and then let's talk New Jersey.
Has America been fair to Donald Trump?
2 weeks out from some pretty big state elections. We are watching elections in both New Jersey and in Virginia. Oftentimes, these off-cycle elections have something to say about maybe where we're headed for the midterms, how people are feeling. And Jen and I are going to be headed to New Jersey.
Which is a blue state usually. So it's exciting that it's close enough to be in play to where the RNC is sending, resources.
Nerdy lawyers.
Nerdy lawyers and others to be there for Election Day in case anything goes awry.
To keep an eye on things. So
where are you going to be based in New Jersey?
Brookfield?
I'm not sure.
Wherever
they tell us.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're on deployment. That's what we do. We show up and they say, go here. And that's what we do. But that race is shaping up between Mikey Sherrill and Jack Ciattarelli. And Jack Ciattarelli is the Republican. He is a former New Jersey state assemblyman. And he is speaking on energy here. Perhaps.
So the bill went from normally about $125 a month at the Shore House to more than $250. And a lot of that has to do with the increase in electricity rates. And so what I'll do on day one is pull us out of RGGI. The Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative is a carbon tax policy. $500 million could be saved each year by pulling out of RGGI. The Democratic governor of Pennsylvania is not in RGGI. I think it's been a failure. Air's no cleaner. Electricity is only more expensive, and ratepayer dollars are going to other states. We're 7.5 years into this policy failure. I can pull us out on day one by executive order and save ratepayers, homeowners, tenants, and businesses $500 million a year in electricity charges.
That's a big deal, and right along with
I can't believe they're voluntarily in some carbon thing where they're just paying extra to feel better about themselves because of green things.
And
he said, what?
And he said it's
they
not
have
making
stupid
any headway.
windmills everywhere.
And his slogan for his race is "Make New Jersey affordable again." And
right.
I think that's a motto that resonates with a lot of folks right now who are seeing,
It's got bipartisan appeal.
Yeah.
Because people feel it in their pocketbooks, especially when they're in the state with the highest property taxes in our country. And that's saying something when you look across, like California, they're higher than California. The property taxes of New Jersey, they have high income taxes. And then they're just burning their taxpayers by loading on extra energy costs on them just out of green policies that he points out. Pennsylvania doesn't do this. Why are we in this RGGI thing?
And he can do it on day one. And I think when that's been a successful message. We heard it from Governor Mike Kehoe when he was running. These are the things I'm going to do on day one. We heard it from Trump. And how many executive orders has Trump signed so far? I mean, it's been.
And now gas prices are low.
Yeah. And we are
huge.
We're going to be talking to Mandy Gunasekera. She was the former chief of staff for the EPA at 8:10. You're going to want to stick around for that. But as former chief of staff of the EPA, she's going to explain to us why we're seeing such low gas prices. And we're going to talk energy with her. But the polling, Jen, on this race in New Jersey is really tightening quite a bit.
It's starting to be a toss-up. Yeah. And not only that, but since that one came tight enough, shortly thereafter, now Virginia has tightened too. Abigail Spanberger has gone from a huge lead to narrow the things in Virginia, narrowing quite a bit. And now that one is in play as well. And that's another blue state. So she's gone from having, in August of 2025, Spanberger had a 7-point lead. Then Spanberger had a 10-point lead, but now 2.6. So it's tightening.
Right. And I think the latest poll I'm seeing out of New Jersey has the Democrat up just about 3 points, I think, which is within the margin of error. And these are races that 6 months, 9 months ago, we weren't even paying. They were just a lost cause.
No even talk about.
Right. So the fact that we're within striking distance, I think, means a lot.
And
all
the
of a
governor
sudden, they got real purple, didn't they?
Yeah, and it's so important. The governor controls so much of what a state does. Like, it makes, the policy, it's just incredible how many different things that the governor has their fingers on. So it's a big difference if you have a Republican governor versus Democrat governor.
I think so. And I think it could.
When you look at sending troops in or anything, it would be helpful to Trump and our whole country to have these wins.
Yeah, to have Republican governors. And I think also, it just kind of speaks to where the American people are on the economy and on the shutdown. And as we head into the midterms, what messages are resonating with folks.
And if we can see Republicans winning blue states like that, it normalizes Republicans to other people that we might be able to make more inroads with in blue areas as well.
I think that's right. And I think, I mean, if you think about the Youngkin race, what was that, just 4 years ago? I mean, his big topic was education, but I think we built a lot of momentum and excitement when he was able to pull off that win. Now, granted, it didn't really translate into the midterm, so I think we've got to be careful as we move forward in thinking like, a couple of wins here means that we're going to get this red wave, because certainly we didn't see that last time. But I think we need. It would be huge if we could pull off some wins here.
Yeah, and normally it goes the other way. Like the presidency, like in that case, Biden had won, right? And then we got Youngkin in.
I think that's right. Yeah.
This time it could be Trump wins and then Republicans keep winning, which would be a very good sign for the midterms.
So much winning. All right. Give me a little bit of a breakdown, Jen. People are probably wondering, what do you guys actually do in New Jersey? Now, you've deployed before, and you have more experience than I do in going to various states and in observing. So what does that look like?
Well, we, as lawyers, we get training on the election laws of the state, and then we get these big binders, and I memorize all their different laws, the potential issues, the litigation that's going on different aspects. Usually there's some sort of litigation over whatever new aspects there are to mail-in ballots or drop-off boxes or whatever else. So we have kind of lists of things that we're looking for as potential threats that might be, shenanigans that might take place. And then we have basically your phone bank operator, unless you're like Mark, your partner, where you're high up, like writing potential litigation. You are just there taking phone calls from all of the volunteers across the state as they observe things, and you're seeing whether you need to raise those up the totem pole to sue or take other further action. So we're just ready to rock and roll. If any cheating is observed and taking place, we're ready to start litigating and trying to stop it.
Yeah, and I think correcting things midstream,
and recording things. That's the other thing. Like in 2020 in particular in Arizona, if we had the software that we have now, I wonder if we could have proven it would have changed the outcome of the election. We just weren't prepared to document all of the things that were being observed. Now we have software where everything is being recorded. It's so much easier. I think we could convince the judge if there is an anomaly that could have changed the outcome of the election. We would have the persuasive evidence to show that, but things happen so fast, and I don't think we were ready to go as well as we could have been now to document that evidence that things could have, but we had enough to show to not get dismissed in court in 2020, just not enough to prove it could have changed the outcome of the election ultimately. But now it's a different ballgame with the software and the training that we have and the team that we have on the ground. We're ready to go.
Yeah, and I think that's really important because you can't really unring the bell. And so having that real-time documentation of what's going on. And I know in Missouri, the last big dust-up, it was many years ago, and the Democrats came in and sued to keep the polls open later in Democrat-leaning areas saying, hey, the lines were long, people were being turned away. Well, now if you got people on the ground observing, every hour saying, here's where the lines were, here's how long people were waiting. You
can't add people to the line. Line ends. If you're in line at when the polls are open, you're okay. But if you can't start bringing buses of people after 7 o'clock,
you're better positioned
to vote,
to make that argument based on real and factual information.
100%.
And I think people are, I think what we know is just, transparency. I think people are less likely to cheat when they've got a bunch of people just watching. And so sometimes the days are pretty boring, right? Like we're just watching. When we were up in, where were we last? Wisconsin. We were just watching.
Been there twice, Arizona twice, and Nevada.
Opening absentee and mail-in ballots. And, I think, if no one's paying attention, there could be an incentive for a little bit of funny business. But when you've got eyes all around the room, both Republicans, Democrats do this too, right? Both Republicans and Democrats, and you've got some eyes on the process, I think, not only does it prevent some funny business and some cheating, but potentially I think it adds some
legitimacy and confidence. Because the voters want to know that their vote's going to count. I talked to so many voters in Arizona that were like, this is the first time I've voted my entire life, and now it's not going to count because they're cheating. Why should I bother voting ever again?
Right. And so I think
they voted for Trump for the first time in their whole lives, and they were feeling like they were being robbed of the vote, and they weren't going to bother going forward, and it broke my heart to hear that.
Yeah, and so I think finding
we need to have integrity in the process so people know that however it shakes out, that it was a fair game.
And I think, having more people on the ground observing definitely lends itself toward more confidence in elections.
Yes.
And what we've seen is, despite Democrats' claims that, these tightening of election rules, because they opened the floodgates wide open during COVID and did all sorts of weird stuff. And then when Republicans said,
pretty smart
hey,
about it.
let's go back to how we've always voted, and they started saying to us, you're disenfranchising people. But what we know is from voter turnout numbers, I mean, most states are higher than they've ever been, right? We've got more people voting now than we ever have. And so, you want it to be easy to vote, but hard to cheat. And I think that's going to be important as we head into...
And we want our people to bank their vote.
Yes.
Vote early. Get your vote banked.
We did a better job of that in the last election, Jen.
And we won.
I know. We're watching the heist. Have you been there?
I'm thinking I need a crown for Halloween between the No Kings thing and then the French crown jewel heist. I think crowns are in the fashion this month.
You borrow one from Brian.
Apparently you just
Hauswirth has one.
Yeah, apparently
he does?
Yeah.
Apparently, you just need like a maintenance worker vest and a ladder, and you can steal yourself a crown.
Oh, France.
There you go.
It's pretty wild to see and
I hope they haven't really broken those things apart and melted them down, because those are like priceless, irreplaceable, historical crowns and jewels of their country.
And they haven't caught the guys yet, right?
Yeah, so those things might all be chopped up at this point.
Yikes. All right, we will continue to watch that. But next, we're going to get to John's segment. John, what do you got for us?
Well, since we were talking weaponry, when are Olive Garden breadsticks classified as a deadly weapon?
All right, that up next.
It's Wake Up Missouri.
Except for this.
Megan Ashley Davis is a college student in Texas. She is not a server at the Olive Garden in St. Louis. And no, she didn't get arrested for assault after throwing a basket of breadsticks at a customer. But Davis's life, she says, is turned upside down since a Facebook account called Pure Videos posted a real mugshot of her and claimed she had retaliated for a bad tip at Olive Garden, tossing the basket full of breadsticks at a diner. She says it's probably like my worst nightmare coming to reality. She admits the mugshot did come from a night in August when she was picked up for public intoxication, but her recent post has garnered harassing and creepy comments. She said, "People are disgusting out there and scary. I feel small, like, how do I even fix this?"
Throwing a basket of breadsticks. I mean, the people in Jeff City could never. They have been wanting in Jefferson City and Olive Garden for as long as I've been alive.
Oh, the running gag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
What are they building
Olive
right
Garden
there?
envy in Jefferson City, huh?
Super envy. I'm looking at the map of Olive Gardens. Apparently there's one in KC, one in Columbia, a bunch in St. Louis, a few down in Springfield, but we've always been left out of the equation. People want that unlimited breadstick.
Are you listening, Olive Garden?
That's it. It's that
been a
running
request.
gag. It's like, what are they building there on Missouri Boulevard? It's an Olive Garden. Ha ha ha.
So that's like Columbia and Trader Joe's, which we're getting.
It's very exciting. I'm excited. Except for the parking situation might be a little bit tough.
Yeah, that's a tough plot with Trader Joe's over there. That's going to be.
Do we have an opening date yet? I know Brian was reporting that the signs were up for hiring, but I don't know.
According to Missourian today, it looks like the shelves are stocked.
Oh.
So, I mean, a lot of that stuff's perishable. So I've been hearing by the end of the month. We're getting towards the end of the month.
That'd be a big deal. I think originally I'd heard sometime in October. So, yeah,
I don't know why they're so mum about when they're going to do it. Maybe it just is intentional to drum up the interest because everyone keeps asking.
Well, and they don't want a line around the block of people trying to be the first ones in. It's not like Chick-fil-A where you get like free Chick-fil-A for the year or whatever. Remember that in Jefferson City, John?
Oh, sure.
They like camped out and you got a prize, I think, if you were stayed overnight.
You get Chick-fil-A for once a month or something for a year, I think, for the first couple hundred people in line.
I think that's right. Well, we have Olive Garden envy in Jefferson City, and I know we've heard from our friends down in Springfield that they now have Trader Joe's envy, but we've had Buc-ee's envy for a while. So,
well, and the whole Trader Joe's Aldi's connection too. You know that the two Aldi brothers, one owns Aldi USA, and the other one owns Trader Joe's. So there's that connection.
Huh. Well, I'll end up needing the fat shot because there's so many yummy cookies and chocolate and everything that Trader Joe's sells that, it's okay if you only get it when you go to St. Louis. You buy a few things, but if it's there all the time, oh boy, am I in trouble.
It's going to be tough. Yeah, I'm excited. And of course, if you're the first to go into Trader Joe's or if you have insider knowledge and know when they're actually opening, you can always text us at 573-874-9390. But the people who know are probably gatekeeping because they're like, I'm going to be the first one, and they probably won't let us know. What do you think?
I don't know. I'm just thinking about the cheeses.
Oh, they have
chocolate,
cheese.
salted covered caramels. Oh, gosh. I want to go shop there right now. It's getting me hungry.
Well, we are getting some state news out this morning. I guess yesterday, Cole County Judge Stumpy ruled on a Hammerschmidt violation against HB 2062. You might not remember that number, but I remember calling it the Chicken Freedom Act. But what he said was the law violated the single subject mandate for legislation. As we know, toward the end of session, they like to put a whole bunch of stuff into these omnibus bills. And he said that violated the constitutional requirement. But one of the provisions I remember in that act prevented your homeowners association from enacting some sort of rule that you can't have chickens. Huh. And so it said they had to allow you to have up to 6 chickens. So if you have up to 6 chickens, and now the HOAs are going to go wild, and Drake's all here for the chickens. I mean, I think you're seeing kind of a resurgence, and they said, of
the guy that does my hair has chickens in Columbia.
Really? Mm-hmm. Well, hopefully he
Those
doesn't have an HOA.
Done by city ordinance. So I know Jefferson City looked at that a number of years ago, and they okayed chickens inside the city. I think, like you said, up to 6.
Yeah,
eggs would have to be so expensive for me to want to deal with chickens. I gotta tell you,
Jen,
I'd rather buy my eggs at the store.
All right. Well, coming up next, we are going to have Mandy Gunasekaran. She was the former EPA chief of staff for Trump, and we're going to talk gas prices, which are getting better.
and violent criminals.
Wake Up Missouri with Stephanie Bell.
Enacting a spending agreement that actually makes life better for the American people.
The Zimmer News Team.
Can't drive a truck unless you can speak English.
And now introducing your host, Randy Tobler.
I'm Stephanie Bell in for Randy. He will be back tomorrow. I'm joined by Jennifer Bukowski, who you will have another chance to hear at 10:30 today with Gary Nolan, and on Sundays on the Eagle.
Not this Sunday, but I'll be back tomorrow for you again.
Yes, you will be.
Yes.
All right. So
Donald Trump is apparently posting on Truth all kinds of good things about Jack Chitterelli. We better learn how to say that right before we go to New Jersey together for that election. But he's saying he'll bring down energy costs and everything else. Interestingly enough, though, he was asked last night on Air Force One if he's going to be endorsing Winsome Sears in the Virginia governor's race. And he's like, he doesn't know as much about that one. So I wonder why we see that disparity.
He's hesitating. I mean, I think until recently, she wasn't really up in the polls, and you know how he likes winning. He doesn't like to endorse candidates that he doesn't know aren't going to win. We've seen him do some weird stuff in Missouri because he wants to win.
He endorsed Eric.
Well, we are.
Well, there are multiple Erics. Remember that?
Exactly. He is doing some winning, a lot of winning on energy policy. We're getting this news out this week.
It's a gift for consumers, and the timing of it couldn't be any better. Gas prices have just hit their lowest level of 2025, and in some areas, their lowest level since the peak of the pandemic 4 years ago.
Pretty incredible. And now we're joined by Mandy Gunasekara, who was the former chief of staff in the EPA in Trump's first term, to break it all down for us. What do we know about these gas prices, Mandy?
Yeah, well, this is a direct reflection of President Trump instituting the America First energy dominance agenda on day one. And he understands that sending signals to the marketplace that our oil and gas industry is open for business is really important for ultimately what we are feeling today, which is downward prices on what we, the consumers, pay at the pump, and also what we, the consumers, pay with regards to electricity bills. So it's really important, and it's also reflective of the fact that he is insulating U.S. markets from inherent domestic instabilities. You can't be solely reliant on what international entities are going to do. You need to make sure that we are shoring up and using these resources, mainly oil and natural gas in this instance, that we are abundantly blessed with. We are extracting them, using them, and refining them so they are delivered to market, and we're seeing the net benefit of that across the country in the form of these really low gas prices coming out of the Labor Day traveling season and going into the winter season. This is typically a time when prices go up, but we are seeing them go down, and this is a direct reflection of President Trump's policies.
What do you say to the detractors? Because I know even here in mid-Missouri, people had the stickers during the Biden administration saying, I did this, Joe Biden. You know, we had such high gas prices. And, you know, the reflections I got on my own social media was just like, well, the president doesn't control gas prices. He can't be blamed for that. What do you say to those folks?
Yeah, I say the president has a very big impact on what I alluded to a second ago, market signals. And the difference with President Biden is that on day one, he instituted a war on fossil fuels. He made it very clear that he wanted to suppress the development of coal, oil, and natural gas. When it comes to gas prices, we're mostly talking about oil and natural gas that impacts what we pay at the pump. He not only did that, he made it hard for American oil and gas industries to develop and to grow and to have investors invest in new areas and opportunity and the ability to invest in the latest and greatest equipment. So it is true, a lot of these decisions are long-term, but the position that the President of the United States is sitting is very influential with regards to how the market reads the opportunity for development of oil and gas, particularly in this country, and that has a huge impact on what we, the consumers, pay at the pump on a day-to-day basis.
You talk about new areas of opportunity, and one area of opportunity I've long hoped for that I feel like we're getting better signals on recently is nuclear. Are you seeing good signals on that, and do you think that that will lead to any kind of nuclear plans coming into fruition?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm extremely excited, just like you, about the prospect of nuclear, and especially small modular nuclear reactors. These are technologies that have been around for a long time. They're very safe. They're very efficient. And President Trump has made the development of nuclear a priority in this administration. One of the things he's doing, he's trying to reduce the regulatory red tape at the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. This is a regulatory body that was set aside to oversee the development of civil nuclear energy. But nonetheless, like many of these institutions, they have become a barrier to that growth, and especially the ability to integrate new technologies. So I know it's a priority for President Trump. It solved a lot of problems with regards to providing baseload energy. That's the most important thing when it comes to regulating cost and reliability. That means once it's turned on, it runs all the time, and nuclear has no emissions once it's turned on. So you can have your lower emissions goals met with regards to looking out into the future. You can maintain access to affordable and reliable energy, which is a win across the board.
And it's something China, the small modular reactors, doesn't China already have those?
Yeah, they do. And China has been very bullish on nuclear technology, not as bullish as they have been on coal development, but nonetheless, China is they're a part of this too. And so we need to develop out and strengthen our nuclear baseload energy potential as well.
We're talking to Mandy Gunasekara. She was the former chief of staff in the EPA during Trump's first term, has spent some time at Heritage. She recently published a book called Y'all Fired, A Southern Belle's Guide to Restoring Federalism and Draining the Swamp. So here we are sitting on day 21 of the government shutdown as someone who was formerly part of the federal government. You see that as an opportunity maybe
to do some firing? Drain the swamp?
Well, it does present unique opportunities. Again, the President Trump didn't want this shutdown, nor do the Republicans, who are fighting every day to get the Democrats to agree to a clean CR funding bill, something that has been commonplace and common for many, many years under Democrat control. But since they have this prolonged shutdown, it creates unique opportunities for folks like Russ Vought, who's in charge of the Office of Management and Budget, to make additional cuts across these various agencies and really siphoning out essential versus non-essential, and what government functions that are important and legally mandated can continue to occur versus those that are superfluous or reflective of political goals that we saw heightened during the last administration. So, yeah, I know that they're doing a lot of work in terms of coming up with strategic cuts to shrink the size and scope in the federal government so that the unelected bureaucrat doesn't just have free reign across the U.S. economy, but they're doing it in a way that protects the ability of these agencies to deliver the services that the American people need and that Congress voted for and supported, giving them the requisite legal authority to actually institute.
What are you hearing from businesses out there? Missouri businesses, Missouri small businesses, especially those ones that need federal permitting from agencies like the EPA to stay in business. Are those permits available, or is that all shut down for now?
Well, EPA has been interesting because there was so much excess funding from the Biden-era climate shenanigans that they have a lot of funding to the point where they weren't necessarily running out, and they weren't furloughing employees because you only had that unique opportunity once the agencies or the particular programs ran out of funding or funding lapsed, as they are saying. So at EPA, that hasn't necessarily been the case. Now, some of that is changing come this next week. Now, to your specific question, though, businesses are rightfully concerned with not just permit requirements they're getting from EPA, but other agencies like the Department of Interior and places at the Department of Transportation as well. Some of those may potentially slow down, and that can be devastating to capital investments. You rely on getting these permits to be able to move forward with developments, and it's a really big deal. So folks have been, trying to stay on top of it, trying to ensure that critical permit assessment and analysis continues to move forward. But the private sector, nonetheless, is rightfully concerned, which is why this Democrat shutdown, it needs to end. It does cause very real, tangible harm, not just to businesses, but to American families. And look, the area for negotiating tactics isn't the baseline funding for the federal government. If you want to talk about tax and spend policies, let's do that in appropriations bill or the end of the year spending package. Let's not hold the country and the government hostage in the way that the Democrats are doing right now. That is creating really serious harm for a number of American families in programs that have lapsed, like WIC or SNAP benefits that families do depend on.
Your book, Y'all Fired, I love that title. If you could just wave a wand and fire 1,000 people in the federal government, who would you fire?
Well, a lot of this actually occurred at the EPA early on under the great leadership of Administrator Lee Zeldin. There was this entire office. It was a duplicative office called Environmental Justice. Now, that sounds nice, but it's designed to sound nice so the Democrats could do what they did, which was take up to $20 billion with a B of taxpayer dollars, wash that money through the guise of environmental justice, and then hand it out to their political friends and allies, not to benefit marginalized communities impacted by legacy environmental pollution, like they said, but to grow the political reach of the left, which is exactly what happened. So, my day one goal was to get rid of that office and to fire the people affiliated with that program, and that has actually occurred. There's versions of that at other agencies that this administration, our great cabinet leaders, are filtering through and getting rid of. And I think it's a very good and sound place to start, because taxpayer dollars, they should be used to go towards tangible benefits to the American people, not for political goals of any party, much less the leftist.
Well, Mandy, we are experiencing so much winning, whether it's lower gas prices or fewer federal workers. We've got a lot to feel good about. So thanks for joining us this morning.
Yeah, it was great to be with y'all.
All right. Coming up next, we're going to get into the market report and the morning bell. If you have FOMO, that's the fear of missing out, you are not alone if you don't have that brand new iPhone.
It's Wake Up Missouri.
Stocks surged yesterday with the NASDAQ up 1.37%, the Dow up 1.12%, the S&P up 1.07%. We're seeing with the futures a little bit of a correction this morning with everyone just slightly down. As we look at the sectors, communication services, materials, and industrials were all up pretty big. The only thing in the red just slightly was utilities and consumer staples. Now, I have a big problem with FOMO, the fear of missing out. I'm trying to get over it. I think it is a diagnosable condition, and especially when it comes to new tech. And I have not delved in and bought the new iPhone 17. But Jen, you said you have the new phone.
I do, yep.
Have you noticed a difference? Do you like it?
It's taking some getting used to. It has this new liquid glass kind of thing, so the apps and things look different. It's been an adjustment. So far, it's been a little frustrating, but it looks nice and it's lighter.
They say it's
the camera's
smaller.
supposed to be better.
The camera's better. It's supposed to have better battery life. Have you noticed that? My iPhone batteries are just, I struggle.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it does seem to have a really good battery. But like I said, it's just a different operating system. It keeps doing things I'm not used to. So it's been an adjustment. So when you do switch, make sure it's a time when you're not like in a big trip or doing something, extra stressful.
And then you'll have to fight with your phone that's supposed to be helping you. Well,
like the camera's all weird, like different things. I'm sure it's better, but I'm just not used to it yet.
It's going to be a learning curve for sure, but Apple is seeing a huge bump with this new iPhone. What they're saying is that sales of iPhone 17 are outperforming the previous iPhone versions. You think when we're old, we're going to be on like iPhone 35? I mean, they just keep coming out.
It'll be a chip. They'll just put it in you like they do at the vet with the dog.
Good call. That would be convenient.
Or
you wouldn't have to carry it in a pocket all the time.
Or we'll have, there was the talk of like the puck or something that you would wear instead of the phone. And, the glasses are pretty cool, but they certainly they're not to the level that they replace my iPhone yet. Well, lots of people are getting in on the action. The Financial Times is calling it an upgrade frenzy. The Apple iPhone 17, they said in its first 10 days of availability, the phones outsold their iPhone 16 predecessors in the U.S. and China by 14%. And I think really the promise of better battery life is probably where it's at.
I don't know. Are the phone plans offering something special? That's a lot.
Yeah, and so their stock went up like crazy yesterday. And, of course, they've been kind of on the downswing only in that, some of this AI in the background rollout was slowed. And so they've had kind of a slow year. But so far, they're saying it's been really good. So Apple stock hit a new record on Monday after this report about the crazy sales of this new iPhone. The shares climbed 3.9%, closing at $262.24. And that is, I think, one of their better performances in some time. So is this going to persuade you that everyone else is upgrading, that you need to upgrade to, John? What are you on iPhone 6? What iPhone do you got, John?
6?
I've got the state-of-the-art Motorola Android.
Oh, John, you're bringing us all down. I know, Randy.
No wonder our text bubbles are the wrong color.
Exactly. I know Randy was a holdout and just recently upgraded his iPhone. I think he's happy that
I had
he did.
one for a while. I went back to Android.
I know. I have friends who have made the switch and have said, no, I really liked my Android. I think whatever you kind of grew up on is kind of like, if you're a Coke or a Pepsi girl or guy.
Yeah, I'm hooked now.
Yeah.
I've just had it too long. I'm stuck.
I think part of it is the nice synchronization between if you've got the watch and you've got the iPad and you've got the phone.
There's a lot of brand loyalty there. My father, who was quite the computer guy, who was all about Macintosh, Apple from the get-go, never wavered from any of it.
The one thing I haven't made the switch on is my work computer.
Yeah,
I just can't do work on a Mac.
It has to be a PC. Macs don't do it for me either.
Not for work. I'm hoping that someday we get to that and I can have all of my devices under one umbrella.
I've tried. Can't make it switch.
It's not there yet. We're hoping to get there. And darn it, if they could just make an iPhone that you could use outside in the sunshine, I'd definitely upgrade. All right. Coming up next, we've got some more on that Supreme Court case that the courts decided to take about Second Amendment rights.
I think just local news.
Well, in for Randy Tobler, he returns tomorrow. And of course, I've got Jennifer Bukowski with me, who will also be here filling in for me tomorrow. John Marsh, Drake Whitman, and sorry, boys, we're going to get into a little bit of girl talk a little bit later. We're going to go behind the scenes and talk diamonds. But first, I think we've got an update. So we heard yesterday the Supreme Court announced they are going to take this case on whether regular pot smokers should have Second Amendment rights. And I think it puts the administration in kind of a weird position. And we quoted John Sauer, who was quoted on SCOTUS blog, of saying, there are these fundamental rights, but there are narrow exceptions for when they can essentially be infringed and taken away. And, perhaps regular pot smokers should not have guns. And some of our listeners texted in, and Jen kind of one-upped them and said you were reading their minds when you said, well, what about guns and people with alcohol or other mind-altering substances? Should they lose their rights? I mean, where do you draw the line on this? And we were talking about alcohol and guns, and we were informed that, I guess, the law changed in 2010, maybe, in Missouri?
Yeah, so I have a clarification. I may have misspoken earlier. It's not illegal to possess a gun while intoxicated. I said like exhibit, but you can have a firearm or projectile on your person. You're not supposed to do it while intoxicated if you handle it in a negligent or unlawful manner. So if you're drunk, it's okay to have a weapon, but not to handle it negligently. So keep it holstered, people.
If you're drunk. Yeah. But if you're pot smoking, again, this case is going to the Supreme Court. We know that Hunter Biden was convicted, had a jury conviction for lying on his gun form about not utilizing drugs. The case comes up from Texas. The guy was found with a Glock and also cocaine and marijuana.
The one, wasn't it Louisiana? Didn't we figure that out?
Well, that's the case I think they're pointing to. But this guy, I think, is out of Texas.
Oh, okay.
But the question is, are there circumstances that, that you make personal choices that perhaps your Second Amendment rights should be curtailed in certain circumstances based on your consumption of substances?
Is looking to be, we got guns, we got transing the kids, we got redistricting. It's shaping up to be a very exciting term for the Supreme Court of the United States, so I'm here for it. And I'm also here for these new lab-grown diamonds. You can get giant diamonds that would cost like tens and tens of thousands of dollars now for a fraction of that cost.
And I said we were going to take you behind the scenes. So whether I am telling Drake he needs to Google something, like occasionally we like to tell you what goes on in the background. And Jen and I have been texting back and forth. Have you seen this? Like, the ads are going crazy right now for whatever reason. And I'm like, yeah.
You were somewhere where you're like, all these women have giant rocks on their hand. And I'm like, it's probably not real. Like, they're presenting
look like glass doorknobs.
I mean, but they look real now. That's the thing.
They are. And the women that I saw, they were so small and had like the smallest hands. And I'm like, how do you get through life with this giant rock? And then I saw this, and so you and I were having that conversation. I saw this other ad, and this gal's like, I've been lying to people about my engagement ring. I actually don't have one yet, and the one I've been wearing for 2 years
cost 85 pounds.
85.
She's a British cow.
Yeah, 85 pounds. But I thought her perspective was really interesting. She said, I wasn't quite sure how this size of diamond would look on my finger, and if I liked the shape that, I thought I was going to like. And so I wanted to just wear it around and see. And she's like, and now I've been wearing it for 2 years, and I'm thinking, do I need to spend, 90 pounds, which is what, probably $110 or something? Yeah. She's like, the one
and
that
she was looking at spending six figures on a ring. And now she's like, why bother? And I don't blame her. And I'm just glad I didn't ask. I just recently had my 20-year anniversary, and I thought about, should I get a big rock? And I'm so glad I didn't, because I think diamonds are over. Now that you can't tell a difference and you can have giant rocks, like, it's no longer going to be the status symbol it once was. So we got to figure out what's going to be the next thing.
Well, and
I've actually downgraded. I wear a silicone ring now.
Well, you play too much pickleball, Jen.
Yeah.
But I
don't feel the need to show my status by wearing a big rock on my finger all the time.
Well, it puts you at risk too for the bad guys coming after you when they see that.
And that's what she said too, as well, is like, for when you travel, a lot of people are buying these lab-grown diamonds or moissanite. That way you don't have a bunch of valuables on you, that if something does happen, it gets stolen. It's a $90 ring and not a $20,000 ring.
If you could trick everyone, when I travel, that's like when you want to showing your best, right? And if you're going to fool everyone with a fake ring, then why would you ever buy the real one?
And the other thing I kind of like is, you see Taylor Swift's new ring, and it's like more vintage looking. And so if I could have 5 different rings that I kind of trade out with my outfits to kind of, fit with them, I think I'd rather have 5, 90-pound rings or $100 rings than one huge one that I have to wear all the time. I mean, it gives you options, but I think then you go back to kind of the traditionalist way, and does it devalue it in some way? If he gets down on one knee with $100 ring, are you somehow disappointed? Or are you going to say no?
What?
But you don't.
If
He
that's
opens
what
the
you're
box.
going to base your decision on, you're in for bigger problems anyway.
He opens the box, and you're not saying, is that moissanite? Is that a lab grown? Is that a real diamond? Before you say yes, right? You're not having that conversation. And you said you recently read an advice column where the wife was struggling with this question over whether she admits that the ring she has is one of these moissanite rings.
So she says, Dear Carolyn, in the Washington Post, I got engaged recently and got a moissanite ring, and I love it. The same ring that would have cost $20,000 as a diamond was about $2,000, with only the tiniest difference on the hardness scale and in light refraction, which makes absolutely no difference to me. People compliment me on it all the time, and I've always been honest that it's not a diamond. Next month, I'll be meeting my future in-laws. Wait a minute. So she's been engaged how long, and she's just now meeting them? And my fiancé said that he's going to tell them my ring is a diamond. This bothers me. First, it's going to look to his family like he went into major debt to buy me a ring, like I wouldn't be happy with anything less. Second, it was my idea to get moissanite, so it's like saying that was a bad idea. So she wants to tell them that the ring is moissanite. He wants to pretend like it's real. Who do you think is right? It's his family. Who do you think is right? Text us and let us know. 573-874-9390. She says she doesn't want to start off her relationship with the in-laws on a lie.
Why does it matter? I mean, are the in-laws going to ask? They see the ring, they say, oh my gosh, congratulations. And then they say, is that a real diamond or not? I mean, it would be rude to ask.
Yeah, she said, I told my fiance we could instead not say anything. Who would be rude enough to come right out and ask?
But then you could.
But he says they will ask both about the stone and the price, and it will make his life so much easier just to lie. So he was to lie and say that he spent $20,000. I agree with her. That might make her look bad.
Yeah, I think I would just be honest and say it's a fake diamond and I don't care.
I think this is a red flag about your fiance. That he wants to start off this relationship by lying to his family about something that's important to you.
And it doesn't matter, it doesn't reflect on him in any way, but you could see if they don't say anything and it's like a huge rock, you could see them being like, the parents laying in bed late that night, like, gosh, that ring's really big. I bet he spent so much money. She must be a real handful and, require all these nice things. And so either way, it reflects poorly on her.
Why didn't they buy a house instead of that ring?
No, it doesn't. I think it reflects well on her if she's confident enough to be like, this is the choice. And
we made it together.
And I think she's totally right not to start off her relationship with her in-laws on a lie. And if you start there, what else are you going to be lying to them about? Your whole life is going to be fake to them.
Well, and I think, so I think she's in a tough spot, but I think I would take your advice. What did dear Carolyn say? Did she have good advice?
She did. She complimented her. She said she's going to be just fine because she's confident enough. So help me, you must rock that boat. You want to rock that boat. He needs you to. So many thoughts just stood up to get my attention. They might flip the boat, but I'll start from the beginning. Hi, nice ring. I love how you handled it. You seem like a kind, thoughtful, confident person, and it's clear from only a few paragraphs that you and your fiancé are a team and can tell each other, at least, difficult things. I don't know. I'm not as excited about the fiancé.
The other thing I'm excited about is this in different applications as well, because I remember growing up, my mom always had some really pretty diamond earrings, but I've always been too nervous to get some really nice diamond earrings because I lose earrings right and left. Yeah. And so I always have costume earrings. I never buy really nice ones. And what they're saying is now they're putting these lab-grown or moissanite rocks into nice earrings, and so you can get a nice set for. One article said you can get a really nice diamond set of earrings for $300.
Wow.
Which is still kind of a lot, but not like, what you would normally
Meanwhile,
pay.
Taylor Swift's got a 10-carat diamond. And what did they
I think
say
it
was
six
worth?
or 8.
I think they confirmed
10?
it as 10.
I think it was like in the $200,000 range, right?
No, I
But
think
now
we're
everyone
talking
can have
way
great
up there.
rocks that big.
I mean, I don't think anyone is
The
going...
prices keep cratering on them too. Now, like secondhand jewelers aren't even taking big diamonds in, so I think diamonds have peaked. I wouldn't invest in a real diamond in them anymore.
Well, if I show
I think
up...
it'll be like Kate Middleton wears a sapphire for her. I think we're going to see a lot of more variety in stones as people get married going forward.
And I think it's just a smart choice. I mean, I don't remember how many times, like, I remember, like, you know, your prong gets loose, and I remember scouring the house, like, a diamond fell out of one of my mom's rings, and we were, you know, scouring, or you're doing something in the sink and it goes down the drain. I remember I was on a beach once, and these people had just gotten engaged, and they had lost her ring in the sand, and I'm thinking,
Did they find it?
Not that day, they didn't.
Yeah, because we had the same, but it was
Wow.
the man's ring. He'd spent, it was like platinum.
Oh
We
my
never
gosh.
found it on the volleyball court. We had 20 people looking for like an hour. Couldn't find it.
Yeah, and so I think when all of this adds up, I think we're well into the lab grown and moissanite rings, and I think that's what you're going to see going forward.
That and, you know, plastic or silicone.
For
comfortable.
all of our sports loving people who play pickleball.
Brant wears silicone too.
Really?
Yeah, and I have them in every color. For
Well,
like
that's fun.
$7 on Amazon, you can get 10 of them.
Change
There
them
you
out
go.
for your outfit. I like it. Okay, up next, we got to get to leftovers before we get to the Gary Nolan show, so stick with us. We'll clear out our fridge.
It's Wake Up Miss
the baton to Gary Nolan. We've got some leftovers. John, what's in your leftover fridge?
Well, on Saturday, if folks were listening to the KWOS Saturday morning show, host Hal Dooley was taking a little vacay, and I got to host, and we talked to Ramon Puri of the Puri Enterprise Group, who owns 4 hotels in Jefferson City, and was none too complimentary about the city's plan to go all in with the convention center. But he also talked about the Truman Hotel project over there, where the demolition is all but complete, and still says maybe a little bit longer term, still idea of building their own Jefferson City Conference Center for that site, and also confirmed they're still good to go with the Columbia Hotel and Conference Center up near Bass Pro.
Nice.
So a lot kind of cooking on the Conference Center.
Well, they took that Truman Hotel down in a hurry. I remember you reporting on it, and I drove by within a few days, and I thought, wow, that was quick. It was quick.
He told us it was $1 million plus demolition.
And
ticket.
Of course, they had been in kind of a tussle with the city about who was going to
For
pay
about
to
10 years,
take
yeah.
that thing down. Jen, what's on your leftover plate?
Well, Kehoe hopes to convince Trump to restore the $200 million grant for a St. Louis battery factory. It would have created 150 full-time jobs, but the Trump administration yanked a $197 million grant, and the company said that it's writing off $40 million in expenses already spent on the project. So, according to the Trump administration, it's not in alignment with their goals, and so they've decided not to do it. But Kehoe is hoping to change their mind on that, so we'll have to wait and see. I know that having battery factories in the United States of America is a priority for the Trump administration, so I'm kind of surprised that they found that it, quote, did not adequately advance the nation's energy needs, were not economically viable, and would not provide a positive return on investment. That's what the Department of Energy said when they yanked the funding.
Well, we know some folks in D.C., and so does Governor Kehoe, so maybe they can
I'll
work
have to put in a word when we go there next month.
Maybe they can work out a deal.
Yeah.
I'm also watching on the
Kehoe does too, I think. He might know somebody.
Yeah. On the funding side, I'm watching this new there's some new county lawsuits over tax exemptions. Last Friday, St. Genevieve County and Iron County, but I think it potentially has an impact beyond those counties, are suing Governor Kehoe, alleging that sales tax exemptions passed in 2021 violate the Hancock Amendment. If you recall, I think that bill was the one where they enacted the Wayfair fix, and Missouri was among the last states to do so. But in enacting that fix, apparently they also extended the state sales tax and use tax exemptions to forego manufacturing and mining inputs to local sales and use taxes. And so they basically said the locals can't collect sales tax on those two items that were previously exempted from the state tax. And what the counties are coming in and saying, they're reporting that they've lost pretty significant revenue from this expanded sales tax exemption. They said for 2023, local sales tax revenue for St. Gen declined from 2022 9.1%. And so they're alleging a Hancock Amendment claim, and that I think, is that filed in Cole County? I think it was. Yeah. So new lawsuit on sales tax exemptions here in Missouri as we talk about revenue and how we fund our projects. All right, Jen, what else? You had some Full House news or something, right?
Well, yeah, remember that Varsity Blues scandal where it was found out that this guy was selling like side doors as access to the Ivy League schools, and a couple of celebrities got caught up in it and did some time in jail. And yeah, including the gal Lori Loughlin, is that how you say her name? Mm-hmm. Who played Aunt Becky on Full House. Well, her on-screen husband, the good-looking guy, what's his name?
John Stamos.
Yeah, he's come to her defense as a divorce has been announced from her fashion icon husband Massimo. He's saying that he was her on-screen husband. John Stamos is like, he was the one that was behind that Varsity Blues thing.
And let her take the ball?
Well, they both went to jail, though. But he's like, that guy was a psycho. So he's totally coming to her defense in the media about this fallout and this divorce. So that's kind of interesting, I guess.
Maybe he's just
He doesn't
hoping.
seem to really care for the guy.
Is he single?
Ooh, good question. That's a good thing. We should look that up.
Maybe they will get back together.
Wouldn't that be cute?
That would be
if they
cute.
got married in real life.
If only we had TV shows these days as good as Full House. Drake, have you ever seen Full House?
Have I seen Full House? Yes, I've seen Full House.
Okay.
I'm not that old. Or young.
How old are you again?
I'm not going to answer that on air.
I know what you are.
Very, very young. All right. Well, we have a lot of good news. It was fun to talk energy today and court news with my friend Jen. Jen will be back as a guest co-host tomorrow. And, of course, she'll be on Gary Nolan at 10:30. So we hope you will stay tuned for that. Next up is Gary Nolan. Bye.